When I first started my tutoring business, it was my passion. It was all I spent my time on from 2021 up until 2025. That was me. That's what I felt like my personality was. It was just me running my tutoring business. People saw when I was running ads online and they saw me as the tutoring guy. And to be honest, I was quite content with that persona that people had of me. But what people didn't realize underneath the surface was that I was genuinely going to quit my tutoring business because I wasn't able to grow it for the first couple of years. I was stuck at around 15 students, but I wasn't able to exceed that. And this was genuinely such a pain of mine because it was something that I was so passionate about. I really wanted to help students. I really wanted to make money from tutoring, but I was just stuck and I didn't know how to proceed further. I wasn't sure of any marketing methods. I wasn't sure of any sales methods. I wasn't sure if my product was good. All I knew was that I really wanted to do it. But once I tried something and it didn't work, and I tried something new and it didn't work again, I was just genuinely so stuck and I was super frustrated with the position that I was in. When I first started my tutoring business, I just thought to myself, okay, I'm just going to offer all the subjects that I did well in. So these were the two math subjects, this was physics and this was chemistry, all for year 12. So 4 different products or 4 different offerings, and I'm going to offer that to the market. So this was when I was stuck at about 15 students, and I stuck with the same subject selection for the first year. Stuck at 15 students across these 4 subjects. So I thought to myself, what could I do? How could I change things up to try and increase my student counts? So what I did was I just doubled the amount of products that I had, or I doubled the amount of offerings that I gave out to the clientele. So this was just duplicating the 2 maths, the physics and the chemistry, those 4 subjects to year 11 as well. So I essentially doubled my market that I could actually advertise to. So I did that. And what I noticed was that no extra students in the long term came in. In the second year of running business, no extra students came in. I was stuck still at that 15 student mark. So what happened? I increased the amount of work that I was doing because I had to develop more products. I had to double the amount of work to double the amount of products. And I got no extra return from that because I had no extra students come in. And what I realized was that my time was spread so thin because I doubled the amount of products that I had. I just diluted the amount of time I was spending per product. I still had the same amount of time. The amount of time in a day doesn't change. I was essentially just compromising on the amount of effort that I put into one thing. I was compromising on the effort that I was putting into one thing. It's not to say that I wasn't putting in effort, but effort is a matter of productivity as well as total time you spend on something. I was spending less total time, even though I was putting in the same effort. And I saw no return from that. No extra students, no extra potential clients even, and therefore no extra income. And that was probably the most upsetting thing. The fact that I was spending as much time as I was before, I felt like I was producing more content. I felt as if I was producing more products, and I still saw no financial return or no student return from that. That's why I was on the verge of quitting my business within the first couple of years. Now, thankfully, things were able to turn around, but it wasn't until I started focusing in on a really specific target demographic that I started to increase my student count. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? You decrease the amount of things that you offer and you go more specific, and people feel as if they're going to automatically get rid of a lot of their clientele. But this is actually not the case. And this is not how sales works for small companies or for non-big brands. If you're a huge tutoring company, if you have 1,000 plus students, then this video is not for you. This video is not for the people or not for the companies that already have thousands and thousands of students because they've already built up a brand. They can go in a completely different direction. But if you're just a sole tutor or if you're just a sole tutoring business with a few different people working on it, then you need to be focusing in on one small target demographic and doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on that one target audience member. Because if you're trying to reach everyone, then you eventually reach no one. That's the idea behind niching down into one small demographic. And if you're scared of this because you feel as if you're dequalifying a lot of people that could come into your business, I completely understand you. And this video is about overturning that belief and telling you that if you genuinely niche down into one small target demographic or one ideal client that's hyper specific, you're not going to decrease your numbers. You're actually going to increase the amount of students that join. You're not going to decrease your leads. You're going to increase the amount of leads that come in. You're not going to decrease your income. You're going to increase the amount of income that comes into your business, because you're going to hyper advertise towards one specific audience member, and you're going to resonate with them completely. Now, it's not to say that it's just going to be one audience member or one student that comes in. It's going to be one prototype of a student. It's going to be one avatar. An avatar is essentially just an ideal client that you target. And there's different traits that go along with them that you talk about in your videos, and you talk about with your product, and you talk about with your sales process. If you can resonate with one specific type of audience member, then you're going to get such a big chunk of that market. And you're going to be able to convert so much easier that you're not going to worry about how much conversion you have on expression of interest calls. You're not going to worry about how much conversion or how many freeloaders come in on free trial calls, because people are going to be so convinced by you before they even talk to you. By the time they talk to you, then they're almost guaranteed to join. It's a matter of getting them to that point. And it's a matter of putting the messaging in your content as clearly as possible, but also as specific as possible. That's what this video is all about. So at the end of 2022, I had 8 different offerings that I was giving out to my clientele. I was offering out 8 different things on behalf of my business. And at this point, end of 2022, I was super frustrated, and I thought to myself, okay, this is it. This is the point where things are going to start turning around. So I delved deeper into the marketing space. I delved deeper into the business space. I looked at what everyone else was doing around me in the business space, not necessarily tutoring companies, because the tutoring industry was well behind at this time, and it still is well behind in my opinion, but story for another day. I was looking into what business people were doing, because I realized I wasn't a tutor anymore. I was a business person. I had to run a business like a business. I couldn't run my business like what I thought tutoring companies were being run as. I had to run my business as a business. So I delved into the marketing space, I delved into the business space, and I saw that lots of people around me were saying to niche down into a certain demographic. When I say the people around me, I'm talking about the people I was seeing online, not necessarily what people were telling me in person. People who weren't business owners, people who weren't running tutoring businesses. I wasn't listening to all that noise. I was listening to what the business people were saying. And they were saying to niche down into an ideal client, but they called it an avatar. An avatar is essentially an ideal client that has specific traits that you're going to target with your product, with your messaging, with your advertising. So for my instance, I focus on one subject for 1 year level, and for people who wanted to go from average to a top score. I said from people who want to go from average to 90%. That was my ideal demographic. And also people who wanted to get into that dream career of medicine, law, engineering, or any other high achieving degree that requires a 90 plus ATAR. That was the goal for my business, to target that demographic specifically. And what I noticed was that people were resonating with the message a lot more than just advertising for just the one subject. I was about to say VCE methods, but I realized a lot of people don't know what that is. It's just one subject in year 12 in Victoria. But once I started targeting a specific avatar, I was resonating so well with a specific clientele, a specific group of members in the clientele. Everyone else was just noise. People who were already scoring well, they weren't really resonating with me, because they don't know the struggles of going from average to 90%. The people who are near failing, they're not going to understand the gravity of what I was saying in terms of the tips to go from average to 90%. Those people are all sifted out automatically. And it actually hurts at first to do this, because those people are going to be sifted out. They're potential clients that you're getting rid of. But it just means that those people that are already average are going to resonate with that content so well. And they're just going to trust your opinion and believe what you say, because they resonate with who you're speaking to. You're speaking to them. It's so hyper specific, the way that you should be talking to your audience, that it feels like you're literally speaking to their problems specifically. It's the same as if you come across a social media influencer and there's so many things that correlate between you and them. For example, if you play a certain sport, or you go to the gym and you study your degree, or you do a certain job of someone online, of some social media influencer. If there's more traits that you connect with them, then you're going to resonate with them more. If you look at the most popular social media influencers that you follow, or who's recommended on your page the most, is going to be people who are most like you, who share more traits to you. If you play soccer, or if you play basketball, or if you go to the gym, or if you study medicine, or if you study engineering, or you run a business, the more traits you have with people, the more likely they're going to resonate on your social media page, on your Instagram explore page or your Instagram algorithm. That's the idea behind having a hyper specific audience member that you're targeting. Because once you hit on their algorithm, they're going to watch a video, they're going to be hooked, and they're going to continue being refed your things through the algorithm. And once I made this shift to target the specific niche and to target the ideal client, what happened was I went from 5 students at this point in time, which was the end of 2022, to 50 students before school even started. This was the start of February 2023, literally 2 months after making this shift. My audience changed completely. My leads coming in were just coming in on autopilot, and I was able to convert in the easiest way possible without necessarily having all the issues and all the objections of this is too expensive, or I want to shop around and look at my other options, or why don't I just go to this company, or why don't I just go to that company. Those objections went out the window because the other companies didn't target their specific needs and their specific desires and their specific problems. With the messaging that I was providing on my social media and through my content and through my website, it was resonating with them on a level that just nurtured them in a way that it didn't require me to sell anymore. I didn't have to do any convincing. The content and the nurturing did the convincing for me. And that's a position that you want to be in. Or is it? It's a bit of a rhetorical question, because if you generally, well, it depends. If you want to make it, if you want to get students in the easiest way possible, if you want to bring in leads on autopilot and you want to secure a consistent income, then yeah, you should do it, because it's the easiest way of being able to convert people. You niche down, you target a really specific audience, you resonate with that audience, and your service and they both sell themselves. But if you want to continue with the struggle, if you want to keep persisting with targeting many subjects, feel free to. But you're just going to come to back to this video, and you're going to come to exactly the same place where you're not able to bring in students, you're not able to bring in leads consistently, and you're not able to bring in income. Now, money aside and students aside, the most prolific thing that came from this method was the fact that people are continuously resonating with you. They come across your content, they stumble across you, they binge your content, and they feel as if they genuinely know you. And they just want to join straight away. Or they just want to join after some period of time when they experience some pain, such as failing an assessment or some other struggle. So what you realize is that once you implement this method, leads will actually start coming in automatically, and you don't have to do manual reach out. You don't have to run advertising campaigns. You don't have to run promotions. You don't have to run discounts. People will just naturally come into you. And that is the goal of having this business. It's to be able to get the maximum amount of return and help as many students as possible without putting in all those input time, without reaching out to people on Facebook, without running random ads on Gumtree, without trying to encourage word of mouth from people, without trying to get referrals from people. If you can have consistent leads coming in, you don't have to worry about all those side methods that are just coincidental. You can just focus on whatever's bringing in the most amount of leads and bringing in an automatic way where you don't have to do much work. They just come in automatically. They flood your inbox. I started my business 6 months ago, and there's still people coming in on my tutoring Instagram page because they've seen my content from a long time ago. They followed me from when they were in year 10. Now they're in year 12, and they see the content still pops up on their feed. And they say, hey, Adrian, do you still offer tutoring? I have to unfortunately decline them because I don't do tutoring anymore. But that's the consistency that you can get. My post from 6 months ago, 12 months ago, it's still bringing in leads because there's still an audience that resonates with them. That's what you want for your business, because it's going to save you the most amount of time, the most amount of headache, and it's going to give you the most amount of consistency with your leads, with your students, and ultimately with your income as well.